Welcome to episode 45 of the Yarnchix podcast. It is January 2021, so we've started a whole new year, and I'm very excited for my kind of podcasting journey and other plans that I've hatched for this specific year. I hope you have a nice drink and some nice crafting and a little bit of time to sit and knit or crochet or sew with me. I have a few admin things which will happen as soon as I get into the podcast, but the rest is gonna be knitting, my projects currently, a finished object and some half-finished objects, and kind of all sorts of dreams and hopes and wishes. I've had a little delivery, so I will be unpacking something and showing and sharing my crafts with you. Welcome to the Yarnchix podcast. So that would have been a bit of a visual intro to all the items that will pop up here, or maybe some of the materials I will be using in the near future. For now, I really need to announce the category winners for the Magic 3 Mile, as we have finished on the 1st of December and I just never managed to record, let alone decide who the category winners will be for the 2020 Magic 3 Mile. Those who qualify are all the people who handed in or uploaded a finished set of 3. So I really had a hard time looking through it, and I was a bit on my own with it, but I think maybe that's quite good. I didn't ask for help from friends this time, so I didn't have jury support. I just kind of made up my mind. So without any further ado, here are the category winners of last year's Magic 3 Mile. For the top, it was necessary to, there was really, I didn't have to think twice. As soon as I saw Laura's quilted coat, I was besotted with it, and I'm still thinking of it now. Mainly in my size, but her kids make from an old quilt or old quilt top can be seen here in this finished set of 3. Laura is under Eagle Mountains, and she will win this amazing hand knit shawl, scarf, wrap. It's a rectangular lace wrap made from all natural sheepy coloured yarns, which Josh, who is Breiwerken, generously sponsored our Magic 3 Mile with. There will be some little small items coming with this, because I always give out 3 presents just to make it more magical or Magic 3 related. And I'm very excited to send this to Laura, who is under Eagle Mountains, for the top category winning. Then for the bottom category, it is this set by Nina, who is Nina's Creative Diary on Instagram. And the bottom was basically this ribbed legging that she knit for her Norwegian friends, and it was just the incentive of this, you know, how you need to have something to warm your legs, and how in winter in Norway the kids go outside whatever the weather, so they need woolens. And I kind of enjoyed that story so much, which she also shared with me in the mini interview series. And I also admire Nina's creative endeavors, and I'm kind of gobsmacked. She finished 5 sets in this year's make-along. This is really not a make-along about quantity, but she was so enthusiastic and inspired, and we were writing a lot, and I was super excited to see all the makes she'd made for different friends and different children. So it was kind of very, yeah, it was very encouraging to see her work and her creative spirit, especially in the set. You would have seen Myrtle Bear with her kind of snowflake sweater that she knitted for her Myrtle. And yeah, she's just very creative and inspiring, and I'm happy to send her as the she is going to win this bag, the mole bag by Anja, who is Nadel und Spiel. Her Instagram handle is Knitting Sharky. And this bag is full of goodies that from Cinthia and I collected, because this is not only the bag, it will also be the PDF patterns to knit Mary Moley and Didi Moley. So Nina, I'm excited to knit along some mole creatures together with you, so I can't wait to send this out to you in Norway. However, the hardest category for me to decide, as always, was the toy category. So I kind of went about it in a different way this time, by kind of putting it all out and looking through all of the flat lays all over and over and over again. And we've had so many amazing toys created. I so in awe of all your creativity, whoever took part in and whoever joined in. I know it's a bit like, this is the last category, and it kind of matters to feel encouraged to carry on making, but this is by no way saying none of the other toys would have been deserving, because I could have handed out prizes to each and every one of you. So this time I've decided, because I'm very happy about knitting Mary Moley myself, and Josh knitted Mary Moley, and she also created a set of 3 items for Mary Moley, that I would give her the prize for her amazing quilt, which she made a top and a bottom for Mary Moley, which is part of the pattern. But she created, kind of in this free-form, magical way, a little quilt to be added to Mary Moley's set of 3. I'll insert a picture here. And I just love this quilt. It's been in my mind and in my head how beautiful this little home quilt is, and how beautiful a crafter Josh is, and I think she's very deserving of a prize. So she will have the Women Owe You Nothing bag, donated by a dear friend here from Berlin, and hand sewn, with treats inside. Again, 3 treats inside this bag, so I'm excited to send that out to the Netherlands. But there was another make that I couldn't go past. I think it was, again, very early on in our make along, and also I kept talking about it to friends and stuff, so I was like, oh god, yeah, I'm gonna just do it and split some of the prizes. I actually kept something back that I was gonna put into the main prize box because it was too heavy, which is a book. It's wrapped up here. It's going to Yvonne, who is Papil, and she made Juju, the Lucky Juju puppy and added loads of little tiny clothes. And I saw she recently started creating little toy things from her linen scraps, and I just kind of enjoyed the little collection of clothes she'd made for Juju, all hung up on this little doll's house hanger. I don't know how you would say, like a little rail. I will add in the picture here so you can see what I talk about. I'm so excited to send you 3 little gifts as well, and I'm happy to know you, my dear friend, and I'm glad you joined this year again. A lot of people have joined with several sets this year, so it was very difficult to decide, and I hope that it feels fair and good and you all understand why I chose these different makes and what inspired me to pick them out and point them out to you especially. In 2020, the special category I started was to have the magic mending included. So there is basically a 4th category, and I asked everyone to tag their mending projects with Magic 3 Mending Mountain. I'll put the hashtag here again so you can check underneath that to see some of the amazing makes that were actually fixed. And I'm knitting an Isaura cape. You would have probably seen it in my vlogs for Christmas because I was knitting on that, and it's still a work in progress. I've decided who will have it, basically. It's Lieke with her amazing set, this one especially. Lieke went out to mend Myrtle Bear, and she also mended a very important kind of hand-me-down. I think it was her mum's communion dress, so it was very important to her as kind of a family heirloom, and she mended this and the cardigan, and it's just a beautiful set, and she will have the Isaura cape. I'm still knitting on it, so Lieke, you will have to wait a little bit for the prize to be sent out to you, but thank you so much for your encouragement and joining in the Magic 3 mending, and it will definitely be a category again in 2021. And we're probably gonna start up again in May, to be confirmed, but Magic 3 Mile will come again and happen again. Only now we've handed out all the prizes and all the mails going out in the next couple of days. Magic 3 Mile wrapped up forever and for good. 2020 is gone and done and dusted. Here also to carry on with a little bit more admin before I start up with the proper podcasting, mainly because I am excited, and I have already shared on my Patreon that this year will see me spend more time writing, and I'm excited to use the practice that I've already had by writing daily pages or committing to daily pages during Advent with the most recent Advent zine, which I'm about to print and will go up into the Yarnchix Etsy shop ASAP. Berlin is still in lockdown, so I do not know how to print it as now, but it will definitely delay it a little bit longer than I thought. I thought I'd already have it out by now, but we have had the lockdown extended, so it's, you know, it's kind of special circumstances still. I'm working on it and it will come out in print to all those people who have bought it or have subscribed through the Patreon page. And it will be available in my Etsy shop, just like any other zine. And I had this experience of committing to producing pages daily, or some articles or columns I would have written 5 pages ago, but I was sending them out daily, and this practice already has helped me. I feel encouraged also because at the beginning of the year I always record a proper long and more intensive tarot knit oracle, and this project about the book I plan, or it's actually 2 different book projects, and I will go into detail about that at the end of this episode, that the tarot card reading was actually also very encouraging. So this time you will have a knit tarot oracle at the very end with a bit more of an explanation where I'll actually sit and talk you through it. And yeah, so if you're into that kind of stuff, just stay around. That's always at the very, very end of the podcast. The knit reportage is going to be zine making, because I just published zine number 8, which is a meta zine. It is a zine about zine making and some extra stories in there as well, like the what knitting means to me column, where I've interviewed Maria, or Miko Maria this time, and I really loved the conversation we had to what knitting means to her, how it came into her life, and how she basically lives this DIY style, DIY lifestyle in her beautiful home. And this conversation is part of the zine as well. The zine is called DIY because I thought do it yourself, you know, encourage people to maybe join into the zine crafting scene. And it's part of my kind of self-publishing thing that the zine is self-funding and handmade, and I enjoy that practice, and it's a way I want to give back to the community, because I know the knitting community is actually full of these actually very profit-driven publications. Fair enough. This basically means zine making has got the option for everyone to join in and do their own and share their own knowledge in their own specific ways and styles. All I did with the zine was basically share some of my experience, some of my stories, and some of my techniques that I have gathered through, I don't know, the 3 or 4 years that I've committed to the zine. It comes out 3 times a year, and you subscribe to it through Patreon, but you can also always just come to my Etsy shop and order some zines. They're currently relatively low on stock. I've sold a lot of them, which I'm happy, but I need to reprint, and printing at the moment is difficult. So yeah, I'm sharing a knit reportage about zine making because I realized I didn't really show how to fold the meta zine, because there is a hidden zine within this zine, and I share a way of how you can basically unpick the zine as it's made, and how you can stitch it back together, so you learn the sewing of the leaflet, as well as you can make a mini zine from an A3 zine. So at the end of this Yarnchix podcast, you will see me folding the zine, just so that you have kind of like a visual guideline of how to do it, because I only included the illustration by Caro of, you know, how the pages are numbered and how the fold will look, without actually saying, you know, first fold like this, then fold like that. So it wasn't very specific, but I've heard it's helped to just go by the visual illustration. So I just thought, as my knit reportage is usually, you know, considering a topic, I thought, why not make it this topic and show you how I created the mini zine, which is a Marie special. Okay, in we go with finished object. I'm super excited to share this with you. Across the holidays, I had 2 sets of 4 days off between 2020 and 2021. I knitted this little creature. This is Tsutsubear, a pattern by Cinthia Vallet, and he's wearing the little poet sweater that I originally made for Ginger Bear, but all the bears share in this household. And I only had these really big eyes. I don't know I went to like a Zoom knitting meeting, and I kind of showed these big goggly eyes whilst I was making the head, and I was like, it's a bit big on the eyeball front. But after stuffing, I think it's kind of okay. I love the little smile you add. And what's special about the pattern is that Tsutsu, or all of Cynthia's patterns, actually start from the tip of the nose and you kind of increase, and it's a seamless knit. So constructed with a creatively amazing set of short rows, you end up just having to Kitchener stitch, drafting this little seam at the end, and that's it. And then you block it before you stuff it, and then you stuff it and do the Kitchener stitch, and then you have your little bear. And I'm super excited. I use Deep Stash. This is a alpaca yarn from an alpaca farm in Finland, and I bought it when I was at Jyväskylä in 2018 or 2019. It's a long time ago. I think it was 2018. So it was Deep Stash, and I'm super excited. Tsutsu's with me. I'm already dreaming up, and I might have put Stash aside for the next from Cinthia knitting. So I'm extra happy that I got to give away a Mary Molly PDF pattern to one of our winners. Oh, I might make a mini Sadie, or I can't decide yet, because I just love From Cinthia patterns so much. So please go and check out her PayHip page for her patterns. And before I go into all the works in progress I currently have, as there are some sewing works in progress, I'm going to start with them, because that should have actually been an admin part of this podcast, but at least now I've interrupted it with a little bit of knitting. Is I have got all these amazing fabrics from my stash vent, which went so beautifully happy, and everybody was so generous, and so, I don't know, I just think everybody was so happy to knit and make and receive someone else's stash, and it was a really good, encouraging swap. My first ever swap for the podcast, so I'm excited it went so well. And I really felt sad when it finished, and I've decided to carry on just crafting from stash, and maybe it's something that other people are also excited to join in with. So my idea is to start a stash craft cal. So please feel free to join in with this craft along. It's not a classic cal as in only knitting, it's more of a craft along. So maybe I should call it stash craft along. Stash craft along. Yeah, that's what it would be called. And I have started by cutting out squares from the fabrics Caitlin so generously shared with me with my stash went, because I'm gonna make a family quilt. So it'll be all year I'll be working on this, because I'm hand stitching all the squares together and cutting out different fabrics. I'm excited to cut more squares from these fabrics and other fabrics that were shared with me, plus generous friends, gifts, and my own stash. So it'll be a huge, big project, all hand stitched. I'm very excited about that. And other stash busting projects which will appear in my whips now. So this is just saying, do you want to join? You're welcome to join my stash craft along. It's gonna be fun, and it's gonna be all year, non-pressured, you know, free for all. My main stash buster at the moment is this whip. It is the Stashstravaganza knitting Slipstravaganzashawl, which is a Stephen West design. All the colors and all the natural yarns are all from my stash. I've just started the next section, and yeah, I'm excited. This is now the Lana Rara, which is a blend of merino yarn, but with also quite a lot of very unusual Swiss breeds, and it's super soft. I'm super excited. It's really nice to knit with. So, and then the next one will be my Abinaya yarn. It's hand spun 100% wool from Portugal, and I have got the label from the National Park from Serra de São Mamede. It's very special and very delicious. I'm very excited to knit this as the final main color. So there's going to be more stash colorful yarns coming, and there will be more of this kind of purpley blue, which is the Cotti colorway by Kitscan. That's going to come next in this kind of triangle, like pyramidical shapes that will go in. I'm very excited to knit it. So watch this space to see more of my Slipstravaganza shawl growing from stash. Super excited. It's a huge shawl, so it's quite a good stash bust. I'm using end bits from all sorts of projects, and I've written about it on my Instagram a bit. So I'm excited to share that. And another stash project is actually my stash vent project, where I have had yarns shared with me by Caitlin in the calendar, and also I was super lucky and got an advent calendar from my vent Vibaku, who is Knit Pearl, who just said, I just wanted to send you something nice to treat yourself with. And there were teas, and I got my own bamboo straw, which is really nice for my smoothies. And yeah, lots of kind of maker's treats like stitch markers and teas and some yarn. So I'm excited to add them as well as some of my stash. The main color is an old stash, mohair de canard, like a kid mohair, 2-ply, very excitedly. And then I am kind of adding these stash went colors, and you can see this is an Izaga color and now another Izaga color, and then I've kind of created this rainbow. I've shared a lot about it in my Christmas vlogs, so you can go back and check them, but I'm also going to add in a picture of all the colors, how I've set them out. you can tell, it's a bit of a kind of vintagey, hued pastel-y rainbow. I'm excited. And the pattern is the SOS cowl, which is free to all subscribers to the mailing list of Maddie Harvey. So Maddie Harvey is Harvey Knits on Instagram, and her designs are really fun. I've knitted her advent projects like 2 or 3 years. I'm very excited to crack on with this cowl, and you know, there's some kind of deeper reds coming from my stash vent. This one was from Vibeke. It's a really nice deep red. Potentially also an Isaga, I don't know. So yeah, you will see more contrast happening, and the bag is full of these minis. I'm very excited to knit this cowl, as well as the contrast cowl. You would have seen, maybe I've added one repeat since I last showed it on the podcast. The contrast cowl is by Josh Moll, and I just drew a winner on New Year's Day for the kind of midway, or for, oh, I just had it, here, for the contrast cowl. I've got this little pin. It is paid for by my own money, and it is a Caroline Fret pin of a glass of a drink, and we only have 9 posts so far. I've deducted my own posts because that would be unfair. I mean, I don't want to win the prize, so I'm doing magic number generator live here for you. So 1 to 9 generate. It's post number 2, so probably the first person who, or second person to respond to the knit along, and that would have been contrast cowl. The second post is by Avitol. It's this one. Oh, I love that version. See, it's really black and white, really high contrast, and she's knitting it from Zine number 7, where the pattern is inside. So you have won a pin. Congratulations, Abitol77. And the contrast cowl carries on. As you can tell, I'm like a third of the way, or maybe a fourth, a quarter of the way. I'm going to carry on, and whilst it runs, there will be little glimpses of it here and there and everywhere. And when I've finished, I'm going to draw another winner, so you can still join in. It's like a very relaxed knit along, and this mosaic knitting is super fun, so I think you should give it a go. The pattern by Josh Moll is available through her channels, as well as through Yarnchix Zine number 7. Okay, that's for the cowls. What else am I knitting? In the last vlog, or the second to last vlog, anyway, I asked you friends to help me choose which project to pick up, and I think the main project that was mentioned was also the project that was speaking to me the most. It's this, the Soiree sweater by Emily Foden. And thanks to your advice, I've actually now completed the back, including I've managed to work out how and where I was with the little or big cables running across the front and then down the back. So this Soiree sweater is actually well on its way, because I have then rejoined the yarn and knitted already maybe 5 rows of the front. I think the next row is one of those cable rows. I always kind of put it aside for a little bit when I have to do some cabling, which is also good because then I know where I'm starting up. I'm using this amazing stitch counter, row counter, which I got as a secret Santa from Lydia in our knit along, not knit along, in our knit night at Zine where I work. So last year, so Christmas 2019, I got this. She basically picked my name out of a hat, and I was the luckiest girl alive because I got 2 Frida Fuchs mini skeins, which I immediately knitted into my contrast cat vent cowl then, and these beautiful greens, and I got this amazing row counter. It's the best row counter ever. I love it. Basically, every row you just kind of move your needle through one of the rings, and I think it has like 20 rings or maybe 18, so it's really good for cabling because there's often like a 10 row repeat. And then I just go to the beginning, and I've decided the little the sheep or ram symbols for me the first row, and the red bead would be the last row. So I kind of know now. I've worked it out, I've sussed it all out, which I was struggling with in my vlog. So you would have seen me go, oh, I've dropped it, I don't know where I am, and all of this. So super chuffed. Also how the yarn looks. This is Sheila's Deer in their indigo color. They're a plant dyer based out of the Hebrides in Scotland, and they use these really nice local yarns and super cool Scottish brand of yarn. And I'm sorry, you're now not EU, so it's going to be difficult, but I bought this at EYF with my birthday money because I'd asked my friends and family, I wanted to knit a blue sweater, and everybody gave generously. So this is kind of a family and friends funded sweater, and I might as well continue knitting it because I got that for my 40th birthday, and I'm going to be 42 soon, so 2 years onwards. It's definitely a stash project because it took me so long. I'm excited. So I guess in the next podcast I will be on Sleeve Island with this one, so onwards. And just look at these maybe potentially mistakes in the cables, I don't know, ignore those. But just see how squishy and beautiful this indigo is. I'm pairing it with some mohair, and I'm super happy. It's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. So as Josh said, I'm knitting on something warm for myself so that I can wear it in this cold season, and this looks like I will be able to wear it on my birthday, which is still in the cold season, so I'm excited. And I thank you for your great advice. Numerous people said soiree sweater, soiree sweater, soiree sweater, so that's what I am doing. I'm listening to the swarm knowledge, and it's good because the other thing that's happening I'm gonna show now. Yes, a lot of mending, and it is my favorite category really now that I've done it for I guess 1.5 years or so, because it's kind of quietly there and resisting quite a lot of consumption or money spending, and it feels good. So I've managed to do as I said and carry on mending this sock. I'd mended this hole, the really nicely woven one here, and then the sock went on this side when I started wearing it, so I had to remend, and I'm excited. It's nicely stable and it's withholding wear from now on, and it's all good. So now that I've explored my knowledge with this pair of sock, I'm going to continue with one of the first pairs of socks I've ever knitted myself. I'm making them look nice and neat. They're Hermione's Everyday Socks is the pattern, and this is an Ocean by the Sea tweed yarn, and it is the Gimme Space colorway, which I bought one summer when I had a bit of cabin fever, and we probably can all relate to cabin fever by now as we're all entering second lockdown. And I love the colors and speckle. You see these kind of red currant specks? I love them. So I'm going to use some pink yarns and I think some grey. I'm going to try and do like a multicolored weave mend on this. So watch this space for these. yeah, they went in the same spots, so it's obviously where my foot wears out. So I'm gonna do the hole in a multicolor weave, and then I'm gonna reinforce this side. They didn't go on the heel yet, but I might reinforce. And it's the same here. No heel issue on this one, but also on the front. So you will see some mended toes in this one. I'm very excited. And I'm gonna mend one of my favorite clothes. It's actually, I'm just gonna show you the fabric because there's no way I can show you the shape, or I do not know of a way of showing you yet. Maybe next time when it's mended I'll do a what I'm wearing kind of shot from further away. But it's these culottes which I've inherited from my grandma. So they are from the 80s, 70s or 80s. CNA, and I think it's a wool blend. I haven't found the label for what kind of material this is. And on her attic it was kind of munched by moths, and you kind of the regular where maybe you can see there's kind of smaller holes. And I got some embroidery floss in these kind of petrol, which is like a turquoise color, and this kind of off gold. So I'm gonna do some mending on that. Also the hem got undone, so I'm gonna re-hem it by hand. I'm just kind of filming this to show you the beautiful fabric. I really like the colors. Oh yeah, and here you might be able to see, oh no, that's just dust. There's a hole, it's just dust. But yeah, so I will hem it, and I'll show you the other leg because that's going to be a difficult mend, or I don't know, maybe I'll hem it and fix it. It got caught in my bike the other day, so the bike, not the chain, but the chain and the ring together, they kind of munch these big holes in. It's a typical thing that happens with me. I kind of just wear whatever on the bike and then realize, oh, this was highly impractical and actually quite dangerous. Luckily I've got my helmet. And yeah, so I will have to mend this. Oh, and there's the label. Where was it? I just showed it like this. Ah, here, because I wanted to check what the fabric is, because it feels like they're woolen culottes. Size 44, just makes sense. My grandma and I have, yeah, 100% woolen, and then the lining is viscose. Yeah, so they're woolen culottes. That's why I like wearing them in winter so much. I only get them out in autumn, and yeah, I should be careful when washing them. So then now, I guess the holes are really moth-munched holes. I'm excited to wear them again, mend them, and I'll wear them still because they're nice and dark, and the pattern makes it so busy that no one notices these holes, I don't think. So I'm gonna mend them and share this project with you. I'm gonna enjoy doing that because it connects me to my great-great-grandma, well, my grandma, not my great-great-grandma, my grandma, who has been my teacher when it came to knitting, and who's actually a good spirit. She used to knit all the family socks, so I'm excited I've now taken that on, and I hope to one day knit as fast as her when it comes to socks. I'm a very slow sock knitter. Hence, good bridge. What a segue, Mimi. I'm knitting socks, but I have found the shortcut of shortcuts. This is a finished sock, and I used a sock tube by my friend Nora of Keatsgan, who gave it to me as my Secret Santa this year. In our team, we picked out each other's names from the hat, so we basically had a direct swap, which was fun. And yeah, so I made the toes and the heel, and I had to learn how to knit the fish lips kiss heel, that's it. Can you see? I think it looks nicer when you stretch it out. When it's like this, it's all kind of weirdly shaped, but it's a really nice shape on the foot. So I'm quite excited. I've learned this new skill, and I will have to do the second sock. Here, I've done the toe, and then I have to kind of find the place where I cut out the space for the heel, do the heel, and then create a ribbed top at the end, and then I have a finished sock. You might see on my sock blocker they're a bit on the long side. So this is perfectly segue because I have to mend my recent make by actually unpicking. I'm gonna undo this toe, and then I'm gonna go back to where I think it is. I think it's 8 rows back, and then I'm gonna re-knit the toe so that they fit perfectly. Then I will have a little bit of this yarn here, and I will reclaim this yarn and use that yarn to re-knit the heel when I have to re-knit it. But it's perfect. Basically, I'm learning how to make socks from sock tubes. This might lead to more sock tube knitting, who knows, but I'm excited. After finishing the 2 socks, I think I will probably have twice this. So the sock tube, Marie's here. Yeah, nervous dog, my nervous little dog. Gone blind, as you can tell. And with her big lump in the snout, we've had a bit of an upset end of the year and start because her tumour's basically growing back. She doesn't want to show it. And I'm excited because now I know, I think this is enough for short socks, like sneaker socks. And I can use, because I have plenty of that gingerbread colored yarn, and I can just use that to create another pair of socks, like sneaker socks with whatever is left of the sock tube. Thank you, Nora. I love it. And I love this colorway. It's a one of a kind, so I don't know, maybe she'll re-dye it. That's that for the socks and the knitting. As you can tell with those socks, I've kind of started on a very pink phase. So what's left in this episode is just talking about my kind of the other pink stuff I'm knitting. Just show you Marie how she sits on my lap. So first, in a series of pinks and reds, I wanted to show you my colors that I've chosen for a knit along that I'm joining, because I love a good knit along. And recently I saw the Maker's Minute knit along by Denise and Mars is starting in about 5 days time, so I'm super excited, and I've lined up my yarn. Here it is from my stash. Pinks and yellows and a green and this very dark chocolate brown. These will be a color work mittens called Vexio. I've included a little picture here, and those are the colors. For the main color, I wanted to use this really dark because I think it will be a really nice background color, and I'll have lots of leftovers so I can come up with something I want to make with these. And it is the Jameson and Smith jumper weight. They're 25 gram mini skeins, and as I'm saying, I'm entering pink land. These are the pinks. I think they will be really, really nice mittens. I love mittens, I love knitting them, so I'm super excited to join in the knit along by the Maker Minute Women, Denise, who is Earth Tones girl, and she has a beautiful podcast. Go and follow her. As well as Mars, who has the Hey Brownberry podcast. Go and follow her podcast. And I'm excited to be one of the Mittalong mitten knitters. As well as, a good pair of mittens. You need a shawl and you need a new scarf to go with that, obviously. And this is going to be a pink scarf. I managed to lose my pink S shawl in the first lockdown. So in that crossover, when it was still cold in March and then it was April and it was not so cold, I kept wearing it. And I think I dropped it while cycling. I've checked all the lost and found possibilities. There's no way to have that shawl back unless I knitted. So I will be knitting an S shawl again using these gorgeous colors. Again, earthy pink, and these are South Downs yarn, and I'm so glad I got to have these, and I'm very excited to pair these with what finally arrived now. I think this left the UK before Christmas and arrived now, so it took like 3 weeks, and it's the perfect combination. I'm gonna do this and finally open it. I waited to record the podcast to open it. It is Daughter of a Shepherd, and let me show you. Oh, it smells delicious. Her Swooples Hebridean mix. I love Heb. Look at that. Deep, 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 deep brown. It is actually the yarn that is in my Stashstravaganza in this top. This was the leftover from my first S shawl that I've lost. So that was also one skein, and I had enough left to make this kind of beginning of the Slipstravaganza shawl. So, I mean, how sufficient is that? This will be enough to make the S shawl again. And I'm very excited to pair it with these pinks that Louise helped me choose from her amazing South Downs yarns. And it will be deliciously gorgeous. So I'm re-knitting. Why ever not? And that is my pink phase. There you go. It will have to be rounded up with a good old swatch story, because there's nothing as magical as swatching, I think, because it's like making that knit dream come a bit closer or become a little bit realer. And the Atlantica sweater is one of my main knit dreams at the moment. Only I didn't hit gauge with this swatch. So I have started a new swatch. And the Atlantica sweater is a design by Yarn Flakes through Pom Pom magazine. It was actually in this amazing issue of Pom Pom that Ocean by the Sea edited this gorgeous pom-pom, and I think it's the last one I've bought, and it will be the last one I've bought for a while, because I've had it. I've got so many patterns in my stash. I'm gonna have to go through that stash and stash bust my pattern stash. I'm having a break of getting knit publications, and I love that this marks the end of that shopping frenzy that I've been on for years. And I've started the new swatch. I'm going down 0.25 millimeters per needle. So this is actually, instead of the 3 millimeter they use for the ribbing, this is the 2.75. And instead of the 3.5 needle the whole sweater is knitted on, this is the 3.25. And I hope I get gauge with this second one. none of this will be lost. I'm gonna sew the two swatches together, however kind of wonky that makes, and try and create sleeves for one of the teddies. So this will become a continuous swatch story probably for the next podcast, and I'm excited to share just, you know, how pink my pink phase is. You must be able to tell. I'm gonna film it now as a little visual medley because I think it's so crazy how pink my knitting has become. But sometimes that's how it is. We just have these color phases. I'm sure you agree. So it's a lot of pink and a bit of blue. Oh, I guess that's a good name for this podcast. I've spoke about everything, and I will now love you and leave you, and hang around if you want to watch the knit reportage about zine making and showing off my recent zine making zine number 8 on the Yarnchix zine from the Yarnchix zine collection. And yeah, carry on staying around for the Tarot Knit Oracle, which will be quite an extensive one. Thank you so much for your time and for sitting and knitting with us today. From me and my bat dog. From us two here in Berlin, we say thank you very much for your time, and have good crafting, and stay focused what matters, to read, to dismantle, and to craft. So thank you for staying around. I wanted to just quickly talk about the tarot cards, as I have shared with you the kind of the visual or the words I wanted to say, what it kind of symbolized for me. The two main cards being the Empress and the Magician. So it was about the kind of for me, it was immediately clear that it was about me crafting my book, and both my kind of creative spirit and my kind of drive to do it coming together. And in the visual of the crown, you would see the three elements that play into this. So the kind of love, the love for the making, and I think that relates a lot to the topic that I've chose for both my book and my other book. Both the projects I'm starting are related to my crafts. So I wanted to reveal that one of the books is actually a children's book to do with crafting, and it's kind of like storytelling. And I've checked with both the creatives whose makes or designs will be involved already last year. So it took me 12 months to actually come around to committing to this monthly or weekly or daily practice of creating a book telling the story of the pinga, which I've knitted, which is a penguin pattern by Anna Maltz, and how they're looking for a friend or companion. And it'll involve knitting the penguin again, which I'm currently, for making for a friend. So I'm going to join that craft into this make story, because it's gonna be sharing her way, because it's a Pinga is a female penguin, of finding her mate, and it does involve a teddy bear somewhere in there. So I'm very excited to draw and photographically process this storybook, and I will take you along into the I will take you along my process through Patrons, through blogs, and well, just sharing glimpses over there. So if you're into seeing kind of a visual way how it comes together, that would be a place for you to check. As well as my writing project. And in the crown of the Tarot Knit Oracle, you would have seen that I had a moment of stage fright with this, which is always a thing when I start up a project or I dream up something rather big. Then I'm actually a bit, you know, about it, but that is a waning energy, so it's an energy that's leaving, and what's coming to the forefront more is kind of an authentic or core value, I would say, of just doing it and turning again mainly to the sun. So I kind of like that. It's kind of the moon and the sun are both connecting up in this read. And the eruption, which is kind of the suddenness of it, or maybe the turnover, I kind of like that. And I also enjoyed the last card, which might look a bit like scary cards, but I read the death very much as a yes right now, because I think it marks the end of my writing block. And this block needed to go before I could commit to something as big as these projects. And I hope you enjoy coming along with them, and you enjoy that my cards kind of told me this. Life might go about in different ways, but for now that is the card reading for this year.